For our next speaker, I'm very proud to announce Johannes Duong from the Austrian National Bank. Johannes is really one of these amazing people in the traditional financial industry who are pushing forward the state of the art and trying new things. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him before, both online and in person in Davos. And it will really be great to hear what he has to talk about today. So let's just jump right in. Johannes.
Good morning from Vienna. So my name is Johannes Duong from the Austrian National Bank. And today I will talk about our project Delphi, in which it's a research project by the Austrian National Bank in cooperation with two commercial banks, the Erste Group and Raiffeisen International, and also with the Austrian Treasury, the CSD, and two law firms. Together, we started our research project in which we tokenized a government bond and also for the cash leg, a wholesale CBDC pegged to euro for the settlement and also the issuance process. And it is important to note here that it's the CBDC side, it's only a research project. So this has nothing to do with the digital euro of the ECP. This is a solely research part of the Austrian National Bank. I will jump shortly to our how is the National Bank in Austria organized. So we have 4 different big divisions, and I'm working in the Treasury Department for responsible for the collateral management, settlement, and cash management, and also for all the fintech projects in regard to blockchain technology and also CBDC. And our Treasury Department is located in the 4th division here. And yes, when we have in our main department, there is the front office for asset management and trading, and I'm from the back office for settlement. Very important before I start to the project is our innovation lab. So we have 4 years ago, we created an innovation lab in our house. It's across divisional activities. So all the departments here, they can hand in their ideas for their innovation, and then there will be a jury to point out which project or which idea has potential for innovation for the Austrian National Bank. And it has nothing to do with our line projects. It's all as additional activity to our recent projects in our house. And the goal is that we try to evaluate new ideas, new solutions, and also build up know-how in our house. And of course, it's very important to motivate our new members here and younger staff members to hand in their idea. And also it's important to point out that failure is allowed. That in that case, if we start an innovation project and the result is not achieving that goal, what we want, that's also no problem. But the important is that we learn from it. And this is how the innovation lab process in our house looked like. That we started with a collection of of ideas every autumn. And then there will be a workshop to present the ideas. And then there will be a jury to prioritize and also select the ideas for concrete integration and implementation. And after 3 to 6 months, there should be a proof of concept. The result will be presented to the bank and to our board members to see whether we can start a real project or a follow-up project, or it should be stopped there. So this is the circle of our innovation lab process. And here in the activities from 2018 to up to now, you can see that the numbers of activities and different technologies we have in our house. So we have 7 blockchain projects, also machine learning, NLP and RPA and so on, and also others technology fields we are looking at. And here are the results we got from the projects that we have finished 24 with success, and only 2 was cancelled due to organizational problems. But from our point of view, it was really good that we have the innovation lab in our house, that all the members here can work together or between different departments and also changing know-how and so on. So it works quite well. And also we are exchanging with other central banks worldwide. They think that our idea is quite good, and they would like to also introduce an innovation lab in their house. So regarding the Delphi project, so one of this is the Delphi project, in which we tokenize a government bond and also a CBDC for settlement. So why do we start the project? So at the moment in the settlement world is we're here in the graph that there were lots of system disruption and system breaks here. For example, when institution A is making a business, is buying a security, a financial security from institutional B, now at the moment we need Swift, the messaging system, because all the institutions here have their own treasury system. So we also need the CSDs, or at least one CSD for the security depository. And you can see the white arrows here, there are lots of system interruptions. So that means if there are system interruption, there is the landscape is quite fragmented here. And also there is all delays for the finality of the settlement, and it's due to the system interruption and breaks, there are lots of risk in connection. So you have operational risk in that case, and this could cause cost. So the point here is, in the status quo at the moment for the financial security settlements, is that there is a fragmented system with operational risk and cost. So with the DLT or blockchain technology, there is a possibility to address this problem, because you have a decentralized data that when you transfer a security from A to B, all the institutions here or all the participants who gain access to this blockchain have the same data. So there is no reconciliation necessary, and there is no Swift necessary. So it's quite fast. It's cost saving. It could be cost saving. Yeah, this is the. I will come back to this question later. Yeah, to this point, and here you, with the top blockchain technology, there is a potential to address all these problems. So this is the starting point why we set up the Delphi project, and also other national banks in the world who works on tokenization of financial industry, and so are looking at it. And this is one of the reasons, because we have a fragmented a banking system landscape at the moment. So the CBDC part, I mentioned that also Makoto mentioned some of the CBDC. There are two different kinds of CBDC. There is the retail CBDC and the wholesale CBDC. So for the retail CBDC, this is used for a private person, for a consumer when they are going shopping or to the supermarket. This is more addressing the people or private consumer. in comparison, the wholesale CBDC, this is used for financial institutions. So here for settlement in the first case, for banks, for financial security, or foreign reserve exchange and so on. This could be used with the wholesale CBDC. And here I have shown some projects. This is only a snapshot because all these projects are ongoing projects. So they are moving and they are adapting and they are making progress. So this is here only a snapshot where we are with Delphi located. This is more at the moment a research project, more in our domestic market. To the details, I will coming back later on. And here you can see also some Asian national banks, and also in Europe. Here we have projects for CBDC research, and we in our case is more the UNB is more focusing on the research side. So to our project in scope is our main focus is on a settlement process, on the tokenization of the bond and the wholesale CBDC. And it is also important that we should look at from the legal side of the Austrian law. How can the decentralized technology or blockchain meet the Austrian law in regarding settlement and finality of securities and so on? This is also a scope. And also we, in cooperation with other, we also cooperate with other stakeholders outside the Delphi team for exchanging experiences. And the final point is that was very important is the marketability and the business case evaluation of the Delphi progress. So what is not in scope is the energy consumption, also some economical aspects, because we have in our house our economical experts who are looking at it from the economical aspects. So as we are from the treasury side, we are more from an operational unit. So we are working with the technology. We try to work with the settlement itself and with the process itself, and also with the technology and also what the blockchain can give us new insights and new ideas. So we are more the operational side. And the cybersecurity, also error handling, are not in our scope. And of course, the order system and trading platform is not part of the Delphi project. Client reporting and taxation, these are not really in scope of our Delphi research. But we are focusing itself on our core business, on the settlement, and to see to compare it with the traditional financial world. Are there any advantages, or what are the new challenges we could have? So the project timeline is how do we move forward? So we started the project in 2020 with a kickoff together with some stakeholders, and our progress is we try to form a small team on it. So a small team with 5 to 6 people working on it. So instead of a big group with 25 or 30 people, so we better making fast and try to keep the team as small as possible. Only those in the core team who work with that. So we could move very fast as we are in a small team, and we could complete the technical specification and also the requirement specification and so on. And in May, we could complete the first phase with the first prototype. And then we start with the announcement and also with the legal assessment, and also introducing the business stream by the CSD. Yeah, and in the third quarter on, we are starting already our next steps. I will come to the points later on. So, and which are the 3 streams? How is the project Delphi set up? So we have 3 different streams. So first is the technical stream. We are in that case the OMB, the coordinator of this stream, and in that case here in the technical part, our focus is to create prototypes. We are developing prototyping here together with the technical experts of the other stakeholder. And then there is a second stream, the legal stream. This is coordinated by the Raiffeisenbank International with the law companies. And based on the prototype we finish, this is the input for the legal experts, in form of workshops, working together. For them, it is important for a legal expert that it's for him to look how it looks like. How does the transaction really look like? Not only on a theory side, also from the practical perspective, to see how the transaction works, what is really a blockchain, to look at the transaction itself, and so on. So for them, then it's easier to check with the Austrian law and yeah, and different kind of aspects. And then the last stream, when we have got the results from the both streams, from the technical and legal stream, all the results will be used for the business stream, which is led by the CSD. And what they do together is we are looking at, is there any business model based on that? So in that case, we have prototype that it works. We make a legal assessment that it's also possible, because this is covered by the Austrian law. So the next step is to see what is the business case, or is it possible to make a business model of it? And this is led by the CSD. And what is the project scope of Delphi is we have three different kind of models in that case. And the first one is completely this intermediary, many intermediaries, sorry, there is many intermediaries. This is the status quo in that case. Yeah, we have lots of banks, CSDs, and so on. This is more the status quo. This is the current situation. And or there is the second possibility is the full disintermediation. In that case, it's the counterparts are smart contracts in that case. This is the full disintermediation, only a peer-to-peer transaction. But the third one, what we chose, is we make a partial disintermediation because of the rules and also of the financial market authority and so on. Because in case of the full disintermediation, we think that for the authorities, for the supervising authorities, like the financial market authority, we don't think that they will accept it. And for them, it's a good idea, because when there is a problem in that case, who is responsible for that? So they need to address the smart contracts. So for them, it's better to have a really regulated institution behind it. So that's why the Delphi scope is more a focus on the partial disintermediation. In that case, this is the third graphic that we are addressing with our a model of Delphi. And what we did in a technical stream concretely. So the first thing is we used we have both. We have created our prototypes on a private blockchain, also on a public blockchain. So together with the technical experts of the other banks, we created smart contracts for the existing Austrian government bond. The data are provided by the Austrian Treasury. So that what we did is we took an existing government bond and tokenized the government on a blockchain, private and public. And also the next step, we issued on a blockchain a wholesale CBDC. This is backed by the euro. It's just a simulation. Yeah, this is not only for the Delphi simulation. We created it. It shouldn't indicate that the OMB is gonna plan to issue a wholesale CBDC. This is not the goal of us. This is only for research what we did. And then we start the simulation for the transferring the tokens and to check who can see what kind of data and so on. And after with the first use case we finished, the private banks, they suggest it could be interesting to look at more deeper. That means to see the private customer side when they buy financial securities and so on. So that's why we expanded our use case in the technical stream, our prototype, to cover private customer sides. And here in that case is important to, of course, because of the KYC. For example, the private banks, they need to see who is behind, for example, the key address, the public address or blockchain address example of the transaction, because they need the KYC. But the CSD in that case, they does not allow to see who is behind the addresses, but it need to see the full number of security that is in the market. So that means there is important to see who can see which kind of data. because the private customer is the customer of the private bank. So the private bank need to see, because of the KYC, who is behind it. But the CSD, they has to check how many tokens are already in the market. They need to check out how the current status of the security token. But they are not allowed to see who is behind the addresses. So that means in our use case 2, we expanded it and try to also to look at the data privacy and so on. And we created decentralized dashboards, so called DApps. For each institutions, they have their own access to the data. So this is a technical stream. And in the legal stream, so when we finish the prototypes, we pass the prototype to our legal stream colleagues with the lawyers. So there is and they look at it and to check with the Austrian law regarding security settlement. So there is an amendment of our Deposit Act a few years ago in Austria that enables us to issue bonds in electronic form, also as a digital collective certificate. But when we check it with our Austrian law to see, is it possible to create a security settlement system, including custody? Our result is that at the moment, regarding the Austrian law, the token on a blockchain is not qualified as a security, as a financial security in traditional sense. So this is the law in Austria that we found out that it's because this is not a technical issue. This is more a legal issue in Austria, because in regarding to Germany and Switzerland and Austria, I must say that Austria, our financial law is quite behind the other countries. So when we make the legal stream workshops together, really lots of workshops with our legal colleagues, they come up with different aspects that the security token couldn't not be qualified as a traditional financial security at the moment in Austria. So that's why we need to create another solution when we go in a production phase, for example, just in a production phase. We couldn't use a security only. We need to on also the security issuance on our traditional system. So in that case, the blockchain is only a kind of accounting system to mirror the traditional transaction. This is possible, but this is not a technological problem that we had. This is a legal problem that we have, that we cannot replace the current traditional infrastructure with a fully fledged blockchain, because there are lots of legal obstacles here. So that's why in our legal stream we came up to the idea, when we created that, we can use the blockchain at the moment as a kind of accounting system, that the token transfer, it mirrors the traditional SWIFT transfer. But when in the future, I would say in the future, when there were law adaptations and so on, then is of course that there was a potential to switch to a blockchain technology instead of the traditional one. But there is a real lots of legal obstacles here in Austria, so that's why we are working on that still, to see what kind of law adaptation will be needed. So finally, we have the business stream. This is one of the most important stream, is when all the stakeholders say, okay, it works on a blockchain. We know that the security can be tokenized. We can also tokenize a cash token pegged to euro or US dollar or whatever. All it works technologically. So this is not a problem. Also legally, there could be a possibility to use this in production when we use the blockchain as an accounting system and see how the law will look like in future. But the most important is, what do we do with that, all the results? So for the private banks, this is important to have a business case behind it. So the business stream is looking at it for potential. What could be the new business cases, and are there any business model that could be interesting for the stakeholders on the private banks? So And at the moment, so it is we found out that it's quite easy to use for the blockchain technology for standardized products. And also in the future, it is important when we go into a business case to connect the blockchain to peripheral systems, our traditional systems. So that's is important, that the business stream, that we have to look what are the business cases for them. Yeah. So what are the key points of our project is we found out the best for us is we separated it when we look at the financial instruments for blockchain technology, is we separate the traditional financial assets and new digital assets. So for the traditional financial assets, for example, the government bonding case, is it necessary to use blockchain? Here in that case, this is not new to sell or buy government bonds in the market. So when we use a new technology, that is quite difficult to create a new market because there are existing market already. So what could be DLT or blockchain interesting in that case is that the cost saving point. So we have our traditional financial system here, which is fragmented. Yeah, we saw it in the former picture. There are lots of system breaks and a lot of reconciliation costs, we call it. So, but could it the blockchain technology address really these problems in that case to save costs? So in that case, we are looking at it together, and it is and when the question is big question is, when do we achieve the break-even point? Because when we have both systems, yeah, when for example we find out, okay, blockchain is the real future for financial settlement, but still when we create it and introduce it, we still need the old system in parallel. So we have both systems and both are costs. And the question of the management is they're asking, okay, when even in a future, far future, the blockchain has the potential to save the cost, but until we reach this point, there are lots of costs for the institutions. For each institutions, it's cost different costs, because each institutions has their own traditional legacy system. So introduce a blockchain, they have their own costs, and each institutions, they need to find out for themselves how much do the cost will how much will cost them. So but what definitely sure is we will have both system in parallel at the beginning, so it costs a lot. And when do we need to achieve the break-even point? So this is a very, very important question to convince the top level management to say, okay, blockchain makes sense, we can introduce it because it saves us costs. But when the communication is we need both systems in parallel, and this is something that we cannot avoid, that we need parallel systems, that it costs a lot, and then there we need to calculate when do we could reach the break-even point. And so that's why we separated to look at the new digital assets like NFT or DeFi business, for example, or business models. This is more different case, that this is not existing at the moment in the traditional world. So that's why we separated from in the Delphi team into two big blocks: the traditional financial assets. Yeah, this is more the point of view from the cost saving side, and the new digital assets. How or are there any business models behind it, or how could the stakeholders create new business cases for it with the new digital assets? So this is why we separated both different blocks with regarding assets. So and also important is to find out who is the target group of the business for the business cases and so on. This is very important that we need to address in the business stream. And very important is to check to evaluate the private versus public blockchain. Does it make sense to use private blockchain for new digital assets? For example, the question is to use a private blockchain for NFT, for example, non-fungible token. Yeah? In Austria at the moment, lots of different companies and startups, they buy and sell with NFTs, they create NFTs. It seems that there is a business case for it, but they all are on public blockchains. So when we created a private blockchain for the banks, does it make sense to use NFT on private blockchain? So this is also a question. to answer, does the private blockchain make sense for new digital assets? And of course, the permanent legal assessment, because for the new digital assets, it is important to look at it in regard to our Austrian law, and so that's why we have continuously legal assessments for it. And very important are the silo solutions. So when we created our own platform here, and the other countries have created their own platform, and also private companies created their own platform, then we may have the silo solution finally. So that means we have the system breaks again, and interoperability is important. So that could be create costs again. Yeah, and who is responsible for the gateway? When we have one blockchain, the other stakeholders, they use the other blockchain, but now we cooperate and making business together. And who is responsible for the interoperability gateway, for example? And all these questions we have to address. So this is the key points that we find out in our project, that the business case is very, very important. That not only the use case, the business case for them, because this is that all these questions they ask from the top level management before they start to invest in such technology. What is the business case behind it? So that's why it's very important to answer these questions. And how does our circle look like? So in a technical part, it's a 100% in-house development with the stakeholders. So we do not buy any kind of consultants or technical services. All these are created by our own IT department, and also with the other IT experts of the other stakeholders. So and we are using smart contracts and Web3 technology and so on. And here you can see that the two checks means we have finished it technical, and have also from the legal side we look at it. One check means that we finished the technical part, yeah, and not with the legal part. So here you can see we have finished some prototypes already, and also we the ONB has created an NFT project with integration in a metaverse platform. So we look at it from our digital collateral use case in that case. Yeah. So and then we finish it. So the circle will be the input for the legal stream, and then also to the business stream. And all the questions from the business streams could be coming back to the legal stream, and also the business stream could create some ideas that we can use it for our technical stream. So this is more as a circle in that case. And the input, of course, is from the market. We have the ONB has a really good relationship and connection to the fintech market in Austria, and also we are looking what the MiCAR and the DLT pilot regime at the moment comes up, what are the results and so on. And this is quite so our circle. But for us, the ONB is the most important goals is to evaluate the impact on the central bank, and also build up the know-how, and the potential business cases are the main goal of the other stakeholders. So this is the model that we created for our project here. And regarding the MiCAR and DLT pilot regime I mentioned before, in the European Union, there is a package called Digital Finance Package. There were 3 different parts. The DORA, this is for cyber resilience and cybersecurity, but this is not the focus of Delphi. So the Delphi focus is of the MiCAR and the DLT pilot regime. So the MiCAR, this is a regulation that is created by the European Commission and European Parliament, but they have finished it, the provisional agreement in June, but it still needs to be approved by the Council and the European Parliament before it comes to the formal adoption by all the European Union members. And there's this regulatory framework are used for crypto assets outside the legislation like MiFID II and CRR and so on. And it should cover different type of tokens like stable coins, for example. This is the MiCAR. Yeah, and it should be, I think, next year really the final coming to the final step that all the countries can adapt it to their national law. And the next one that is very important for us is the DLT pilot regime by the European Union, which enables startups, companies, banks to create a near real sandbox. Yeah? So there are 3 different types you can address as a company: a multilateral trading facility, or a security settlement system only, or a combination of both. So you can create a sandbox with really near real scenarios, but it's connected with different requirements for that. So these are 2 big movement of the European Union that has impact on the financial on the fintech market in European Union. This is something that we are looking at also with our colleagues from the banking authority. Yeah. So thank you. So my colleague, my advisor and senior advisor is Harald Fuchs. He could not join today. We are responsible from the OMB side for the fintech projects and also for the Delphi project. We are the main responsibility.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So that was quite an interesting presentation, and I think we have some time for a couple of questions. So yeah, so it was quite interesting. In fact, I've had many conversations before with Okuba about similar topics. I'm just wondering, would a custodian like a CSD be willing to do something with NFTs in the future, or is this not something that they're talking about?
It's a good question. I mean, I would say, from my point of view, not a traditional CSD, because in Austria we have now new companies for digital custodian. So they are CSD for crypto assets. They are managing the private keys for private clients or company clients. This is a kind of a custodian, but not traditional side for financial security or papers, for example, but they are managing private keys for companies and also their clients. And this is more the new kind of custodians, I would say, and which should be regulated in the MiCAR also.
I see. Yeah, I do think in the future having some kind of international custodian could help, but yeah, there's lots of problems to solve related to regulation and also.
In case of international one, the question is the which law is is guilty then. Yeah. Is in that case. So when we have when within European Union, when we look at Germany, Switzerland, Austria, it's quite similar from the culture, but the law is different already. So I don't say about Spain, Italy, or the Scandinavian countries. So I only say European Union is quite different and fragmented the legislation. When you say international one, I think it's it's really hard to say which law is guilty in that case. For in case of something, there is a problem or there is a issue, which law will be responsible then for that case? So I think this is a long way to go there.
Yeah, I guess it really one possible solution could be to write it into code so that the code actually governs the system rather than laws. But we'll have to see where that goes. Yeah, Project Delphi is quite interesting. I'm wondering, so looking at your slides, it seems like the legal issues are a big bottleneck.
It's really a big bottleneck here. It's a main bottleneck here. Not the technology one, because we found out that all the banks here, also in Austria, I think that the companies and fintech startups and so they had a really good know-how. Really good know-how in NFTs with DeFi and different business models and so on. But the big problem is or the main obstacles are the legal side. When they need concessions, I mean the license, they need a licensing from the Financial Market Authority and so on. So this is a long way that they need to approve the business model and so on. So it takes a lot of time, and of course it costs them a lot. In that case.
So traditionally, messaging networks like Swift are mainly just sending messages, and then some custodian who has like the account is changing the balances. Do you think in the future this will switch to something more like value transfer networks, similar to what we have on with cryptocurrencies?
Yes, there is a potential one if there is a regulated framework for it. I can see. I think there could be a potential, because Swift itself, I think this week or last week, I read that also Swift is experimenting with blockchain technology already. So when I think there is a potential there. So the only question is we need a stable regulatory framework for that. I think that there is a huge potential if there is regulated and there are trust, and then I think there is a huge potential behind the technology.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, Swift has been working with the DLT for many years now. So they were actually one of the early members of the Hyperledger project, which is now the Hyperledger Foundation. And actually the Hyperledger Iroha, which we contributed to the Hyperledger project, was actually proposed at Sibos in Geneva back in 2016. So that's is always lots of Swift related work being done in blockchain. I think partly because they do see that there's a big risk to the business of what would happen if messaging networks are surpassed by value transfer networks based on digital scarcity. But we haven't actually seen this yet. But it looks like we have one more question in the chat, and that's why aren't more central banks working on upgrading their technology, in your opinion? Won't it help with costs after, eventually?
So this is a good, because I think why they all so many central banks working on it is that they want to, first of all, to gain the know-how, gain accessing the know-how. What is I can remember a few years ago at the beginning when people say about the word blockchain, it was something quite magic, something, wow, something is on a blockchain, whoa, wow, it's great. And when you address more questions, what could you do with the blockchain you cannot do with a central database? I think this is it's quite difficult to answer then. So I think is that more and more central banks are working on it to gain know-how, first of all. And the second point is to see what are the use case or the business case for them. And also the cost saving side, because if we see, because at the moment we have quite nearly every bank settlement costs, like reconciliation, because of the fragmented banking system. There were lots of costs and so on, and they are looking, is it possible to address all these obstacles of the costs with the new technology? And as I say in the slides before, when even the technology has potential to address the cost factor, and an institution will introduce it in a production phase, but it will take a time, and during this period, the legacy system is still in use, so it's cost both. They have double costs, and you must convince the top level management to invest if there are concrete calculation when will the cost saving point, the break-even point, is starting. And then this is a good question. Because I'm convinced when you say, okay, this is a super technology, but it doesn't save costs. It's the same. We have the same costs at the moment. I don't think that the top level manager would say, okay, thank you for the great idea. I don't see any kind of business case or cost saving factor. Then I don't think that they will adapt it in that case.
Plus, introducing new payment systems actually hurts fragmentation rather than helps. So
exactly.
In the short term, at least, yeah.
And also important to when we have different protocols. For example, we have Ethereum protocol, Polygon protocol. We have the private blockchains, Hyperledger, or the Quada, for example. And when all they have different protocols, they need the interoperability. And the question is, who is responsible for the gateway? And if every institution has their own platform or protocol, then we will have going back to the fragmentation world again. And this is something that we want to address: less fragmentation, more seamless settlement. But in that case, with too many interoperability problem with oracles, for example, with chaining oracles and so on, then maybe you will have the same situation than we have already with system breaks and it's quite difficult to really to say, okay, blockchain is the real solution. You have so many aspects, to look at it, and so many factors look at it from costs, from business case point of view, legal obstacles. So I think there is quite a long way to get there. I mean, it's good that in the European Union we have the MiCAR and DLT pilot regime. So to create the regulation for all the countries, I think this is a good starting point.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how things turn out in the future. I do think that there's a strong political push right now to regulate because, well, let's not kid ourselves, because people in governments are afraid of using crypto to get around sanctions violations. And so that's driving a lot of the regulation. I just hope that regulators are not too too aggressive in the regulation, because we do need room to grow for the technology.
This is something that is hard to see, because on the other side, innovation is very important for competition. It's very, very important. So over-regulation is not a good idea. But other sides, we have problems with anti-money laundering and so on. Also, these are problems they need to address. So I'm lucky that I'm not from the authority side. I'm just from the operational side. For me, it is important to understand the technology. Is it to really, from the practical side with projects, to see, does it really help our settlement fragmentation world at the moment, and to find out, is it really the potential future for the financial instrument settlement?
Yeah, at least in Cambodia, it is helping a little bit with fragmentation, just because they're able to link multiple systems behind the scenes. And that was done in July with the KHQR, which is a standardized QR system now, QR code in Cambodia. So now they have all the different payment systems linked together, which is quite a good step in the right direction. But yeah, I really appreciate your time. I thought it was really an interesting talk. It's always interesting to hear people talk about things they actually are working on and doing, rather than just theory. So it was quite exciting for me. So thank you for your time, and hope to see you again in the future.
Thank you.